Hello and welcome back to your OPL Sunday for Round 8. My name is Michael Hingising and I'm joined here by Tim Carvin-Wendell and also Brandon Juves Defina, straight out of the jungle, right into your analyst desk segments. If you're just joining us, Chiefs too strong for Regicide, but we're about to get into our second match of the day. Direwolves taking on Abyss. And let me tell you, I put out a tweet earlier this week being like, hey, reply to this tweet with some esports stores you want me to buy some merch from. Someone was like, hey, you should buy things for the Direwolves. I bought a hoodie, right? And then today, the Direwolves, their owner or manager, Rippy, he hits me up. He's like, hey, man, I'll bring you the hoodie. He presented me the hoodie, took a photo. Nice, yep. Very, very nice of them.
Nice of him.
And then I was like, hey, I believe I paid postage for this hoodie. And, no, he was very, very kind. Very, very kindly offered to give me the postage money back. But I'm just saying,
bought a coffee.
You pay postage.
You bought a coffee on the walk-in.
Don't worry, it's on Dave. Don't worry, it's on Dave.
It's all on Dave Harris.
Shout out, Dave. Shout out.
All right, yeah, shout out to Direwolves for bringing me that hoodie. But let's talk about League of Legends, shall we? Direwolves versus Abyss. Obviously, Direwolves going into this heavy favourites. Abyss, though, you know, last week they were on Chiefs Nexus. You know, they've been able to. It looks
it's
like
not the first time they split either.
I feel like that's a recurring thing I'm hearing.
I think that's a theme.
Abyss on Chiefs Nexus.
Yeah,
we're all just like, oh, they've lost.
Yeah, it happened in the series before as well. So, look, I think Abyss, I want to say they have potential. I mean, but I don't think that's very fair to say. You know what I mean? They're a middle-of-the-table team. They've picked up wins against the teams below them, and they've struggled against the teams above them. But I do believe that... like, this team has some carry threats, and you know, if certain things go the right way, they can perform. But Direwolves are just looking so strong at the moment. And sorry, go on.
No, sorry. I think this is a scary game for Direwolves in a weird way because like Abyss are kind of a team with nothing to lose right now, right? So you just go out there, you play, you're not nervous because pretty much I think they've conceded that their season's over. Sure, they want to win.
Can they make it?
They can mathematically
make it, but I feel like they've given up in a weird way. Right. I mean, I'm not in their heads, but...
Partly tweeted out, it's very, very difficult for them to make it, so,
and like Raid's in-game name's 2018 ADC, so whatever that's worth. But as I was saying...
Don't dox him on broadcast.
Sorry.
Whoops.
Oopsie.
You got to donate him some
at this account.
But seriously, like a team that has nothing to lose, like...
Yeah.
Are dangerous.
Absolutely.
Whereas like Direwolves have the world to lose right now. They have a first place finish that they can lose.
Yep.
I'm not saying that I'm saying that Direwolves are still favourites, obviously.
Yep.
But like you don't know what Abyss are going to pick. How do you pick ban for them? They're probably just going to pick out some niche stuff, so it's pretty scary.
I think for Abyss as well, what we do know about them is they like to play around their mid laner Luch, right? We talked about this. We kind of bring this up a lot, but when you look at these stats, Luch, high kill participation, very high damage to champs as well percentage.
Yeah, I guess mid lane versus Luch is he just wants to stay in lane. Like he always builds CS leads. I've heard whispers around from OPL mid laners that he's one of the best laning rumors. He's one of the best laning mid laners in the OPL, and you can see
maybe the best,
if not the best. Yes, but Fantix, as you can see by his champion pool, Talia Galio, he's not happy or content just sitting in lane, getting a CS lead. He's impacting the map, and I think that's the biggest criticism I have for Luch. Is like, what are you doing with your leads in lane? I feel like recently it's not been much. Whereas like Fantix is the complete opposite, and he's happily influencing the map.
Well, like what we've seen recently from Fantix is that he's able to maintain such high stats. Like he has a 5.4 KDA, almost 10 CS per minute, average of like 9.4, 9.6 CS per minute or something. He still has relatively high damage share in his team, yet he's playing things like the Galio. We've seen a lot of Galio from him recently, the Talia. So I think Fantix, I mean, it's a credit to him that he's playing selfless champs, but still managing to perform really well.
I think something else interesting I want to touch on in this discussion is Luch. He's doing almost, I think he said 31% of his team's damage. But we did a bit of gold research, and he's only taking about 23.21% of. I say about exactly 23.21% of his team's gold, right? So Raid actually takes more of their team's gold than him, but Luch is doing almost a third of their damage.
I think that shouldn't be happening. Like I think that if you're taking most of the gold, you should be doing most of the damage. So I think that's something that Abyss or Raid needs to identify as an issue. Like whether that be watch the team fights. If they're not team fighting properly and Raid can't auto attack, like that's an Abyss issue. If it's just Raid playing team fights poorly, then that's like a Raid issue that he needs to fix. But I feel like it needs to be identified, because if all of your gold is going into someone that's not doing damage, like where's your gold then? It's just sitting in the bank.
Well, what I think is happening is that Raid usually if you watch Abyss's games, Raid usually gets relegated to like side wave duty.
Yep.
So like Abyss are losing. They send Raid to the side wave, like, okay, like, you just farm up for late game, man. Like, maybe we can win it like 40 minutes. So he just sits in the side lane, just farming, and then they just lose anyway. So he never gets the opportunity to do damage.
All right, let's take a look at Direwolves' lineup. This is the boys there doing their breathing exercises to stay calm before they go into this match. Their top laner, fresh off a pentakill last week, is Chippies.
Bash some hits.
Their jungler is Schönfire, who handed me my jersey earlier today. Their mid laner is Fantix. Their AD carry is King. And Destiny, friend of the show, is their support player. And Carbon, I know when we talk about King and Destiny, you had some thoughts on this Direwolves bot lane and their current form.
Yeah, well, these guys are, I think, super talented. They have, you know, they obviously won last split, and I think internally they want to be the best bot lane. They want to be known as the best bot lane. But what I will say is that I think over the last 4 or 5 weeks, it hasn't been going so great for them down there. They've been losing, I think, 2v2s, even in games that they win. Like First Sin, I think, was a notable one. And so I think these two guys really want to kind of, heading into the gauntlet, show off their ability. I think this is a really good opportunity for them playing against Raid and Rosie, who I don't think are bad by any means, but I think this is a really good opportunity for Direwolves to kind of offer King and Destiny specifically to kind of stamp their foot down and say, like, hang on, no, we are the best bot lane in OS, and this is why.
To be fair to them, if like generally they do sometimes, well, they're kind of known as a top-centric team, so they don't really play bot side a lot of the time.
Oh, really?
But I would say is that if you're not playing bot side and you have safe bot lanes, you can't be dying. And that's one thing that, like we've said, right? You can't just die 1v1.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at their opponent, shall we? This is Abyss's lineup. Their top laner is Pabu, the young dabber. Seb is their jungler. Lucha, we spoke about before, is their mid laner. And their bot lane is comprised of ADC Raid and support Rosie, who we know loves a bit of an unorthodox pick and loves a bit of creativity. Do you reckon we'll see the Twitch Janna bot lane, the Relic Shield Twitch that we saw in LCK last night out of these guys today? Is that a possibility?
I mean, I wouldn't be super surprised. Rosie loves to play unconventional things, and I'm sure that extends to his AD carry also playing unconventional things. So it'd be exciting to see, but I don't know. It's kind of, you know, if it happened last night, they probably didn't scrim today. So it's probably one of those things where it's like, yeah, that was cool, but we'll probably practice that one a little bit first.
I would say we're closer to seeing a Zig support. I know Rosie's a big fan of the Zig support.
He tweeted it out.
I've actually seen him played in solo queue, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Let me get
I've played
you guys
against the Zig
predictions.
support, actually.
Carbon, who's going to win this one? Is this a 2-1 to Direwolves, a 2-0? Is Abyss going to take it?
Look, for me personally, it would do very good things for our legacy standings if Abyss were able to take a game or win. But I think that Direwolves are too good. I've for a long time called them the Noob Slayers. They do not lose to the lower end teams. They get rid of them real quick. So I think it's going to be another 20.
Well, my day's already been ruined because Chiefs won. So
I'm going to ruin my day too.
But I'm going to say Direwolves 2-0. But I think one of the games will be scrappy and it'll be a close one. It'll be a fun one. But I think Direwolves will just close it out 2-0.
Let's look to game one for that scrappy potential. Direwolves, you know, historically love to lose that first game.
Yeah, Direwolves a little bit sleepy on the first game.
OPLtips.com.au for your tips as well. Direwolves, massive favourites, no surprises there. But I will say 1.71% of people think that Abyss can take this as a clean 2-0. We're going to pick up some points in
A lot of proud mums out there.
the tipping competition. Top 200, I think, in that tipping comp are getting some Uber Eats vouchers. I'm currently sitting at 207th, so
Unlucky.
not great for me.
That tip was probably more.
How?
All right.
By the way,
I missed a week because I was
get
playing
fed
on the
the
grass.
correct
All right,
tips every week.
Time for us to get into the game. Fish, our play-by-play caster, has gone home sick, so we're throwing right now to Spawn and Jish.
Thanks so much, Hingers. I am, of course, Jake Spawn Tiberian. Joining me is Josh Jish Hummerson, coach of the Chiefs. Congratulations on the victory. Must be happy with the boys.
Thank you. Yeah, no, had a good 2-0. Carbon was talking about the noob slayers on the desk, and I feel like that was that's been us recently. You know, get the easy wins, struggle against the harder teams. But yeah, no, it's always good to have a series win, no matter who you're versing.
Beat me to the punch, you know, noob slayers,
I was
bullies, all
ready
the
for it.
other
I
things.
was so ready for it.
However, we are into set 2 today. It is going to be Direwolves taking on Abyss Esports. The Chiefs, of course, would love Abyss to have a strong showing this game to, you know, maybe upset Direwolves going into their Week 9 clash next week.
Everyone wants Abyss to win except Direwolves, I think. You know, to be fair, everyone would like to see them. You know, we would like to see them drop a few points. Probably Sin wanted to see them drop a few points. Legacy. So yeah, I think everyone right now is rooting for Abyss to come through with a sneaky win or two.
I think with Avant going 0-2 versus Sin yesterday, if Abyss keep winning, if they're able to pick up 6 points in their last 2 weeks, and somehow Avant don't manage to grab a game next week, they are still in with a red hot crack of taking that 5th slot in the gauntlet, which would be very important for an organization.
Yeah, someone was explaining to me that if Avant do not get a single point and Abyss get all of their points, you know, as unlikely as that may be, there is still a chance that they can make gauntlet. And you would hope that this team is, you know, they're playing for that, even if it's unlikely.
Yeah, for sure. Or at least that momentum going into that run. As we see the picks and bans coming through, Zaya, Thresh, Lucian taken off the board towards Abyss Esports. Kassadin, Jace, as well as Maokai taken away with Elise the first pick for the Direwolves. What do you want to talk about here?
So I think that, you know, Direwolves still definitely believe that Elise is probably the strongest, or definitely one of the strongest junglers on the patch. You know, they're still, I think they still probably think that Zach's really good too. And, you know, and obviously the tank junglers in general are good, but yeah, Schönfire is actually, I think, as an early game jungler, he really sets the pace of the game and he'll play a lot off his lanes. I kind of expect the Caitlyn to come out here. You love to see that. Because they will play around shoving lanes, and Talia makes, you know, the exact same thing. He's going to have a lot of pressure bot side already from those first 2 picks to invade into bot side jungle, and I think that, you know, that is definitely where Schönfire can, you know, probably get an edge over Seb.
Yeah, at the same time, Abyss were able to pick up Tristan and Gragas. Now looking for their 3rd pick as Caitlyn Talia picked up. Is there a support that will go up? Just mid lane lock in here. Goes for the Syndra. Is that, you know, maybe a pseudo counter there towards the Talia still?
Yeah, I think it obviously it doesn't have any pressure to push her out of the lane. You pick that as like maybe a kill counter, you know, rather than like wave control. And with the Gragas too, obviously flash body slam, definitely some setup potential there to maybe try play around the mid duo for Abyss. And I think, you know, it just makes a lot of sense for the Abyss roster to pick their answer to Talia before the 2nd ban phase.
Yeah, it certainly does. And with that, now we start seeing Abyss hit supports, Janna taken off the board, whilst Direwolves look towards Parbu's pick up there in the top lane. They will take away the Shen, something that we've seen rising in popularity lately.
Yeah, Shen, you know, with the return of the tank meta, some of the other champions that could bully him out previously, not so strong now. And I think that stylistically, Direwolves do not like to play against Shen. They're the sort of team that want to be aggressive and make plays, and Shen just gives the enemy team, you know, too much safety, and they just have like a get-out-of-jail-free card, you know, in a lot of senses. So I think that it makes sense, you know, to limit Parbu's options, and yeah, we do see another support ban coming out of Abyss.
Yeah, this time in the form of the Braum, just being told that Drac isn't on stage today, not with the team. Once again, Direwolves, even though they're a big fan of the Camille top lane themselves, feel like they don't have a real answer for it in the blind pick, so they take that off Parbu as well.
Yep, you know, Parbu has shown us before. I think that he had that little play around the Wraith Brush where I was squealing. He's a good Camille player, so not too surprising. I think Chippy's, you know, paying a bit of respect there, but just limiting the pool for Parbu, I think, is definitely a good option for Direwolves. Yeah, okay, interesting. I would have expected Abyss maybe to blind pick, I suppose maybe they want to hold on to the Gragas flex, but yeah, I would have expected them to give Rosie the counter pick and then expect him to pick Bard, but I suppose if you're comfortable to blind that one, then, you know, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I thought that they might also go for an Ardent Sensor user, although it was Cupcake, I believe, that said if you go Stoneborn Pack, you can still pick up the Ardent Sensor quite easily on Bard, and it is going to be a Gnar as well as a Blitzcrank picked up on the side of Direwolves here.
Yeah, that's exciting. I like to see Blitzcrank. I think that Gnar makes a lot of sense from that earlier discussion on pushing waves and getting priority.
Is there a champion now that they can take on Abyss's side that would actually counter out the Gnar, something that you would like to play into it?
I think Gnar is actually, as you saw, we blind picked it, I think, 2 games in a row. Don't quote me on that, now my memory's failing me. But yeah, no, Gnar actually is, I think, really safe in most lanes. I don't think Jarvan is a counter to it. Actually, I think, you know, Gnar has a fine matchup into that. And, you know, that's a good reason, I guess, for them to have limited the top lane pool. They can just safely blind that. So, you know, I think Jarvan, with gank assist, has kill pressure. Obviously, the EQ combo definitely can shut Gnar down. And Gnar is sometimes seen to be an easier lane to gank because he's always pushing up and playing aggressive. But yeah, no, the pushing does go in favor. Okay, holding the flex, I like that. I think Gragas actually has a better matchup than Jarvan. That makes more sense.
It certainly does, and we've seen that Jarvan, with the changes to that 900 gold Barmy Cinder, is actually flying around the jungle at the moment. That was his biggest weakness.
Yeah, and then on 7.15, Riot solved the problems by making it cost, what, 75 gold more?
Yep.
Wow, that really hurt the jungle clear.
Especially because the Cinder was the only thing you wanted.
Yeah. Not happy with that change, if you couldn't tell. But I really like the draft coming out of Direwolves. I think it has a very clear purpose, and it's one of those things that when they saw the Elise pick was open,
yep.
and that they instantly start drafting around that. They have their Elise, they're going to get priority pushing lanes where they can. The early like Talia blind, just to set that up, a good draft, but not a terrible response out of Abyss too. I think that they have a good team fight potential, good damage from the Syndra as well to blow up these squishier members like Elise. So
yeah, and maybe a little bit of pick. I mean, whenever I see Syndra as well as aggressive support, Thresh, Bard, that can lend to, some vision game wards, especially with a squishy jungler like Elise running around Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, I do expect that, the game plan for Abyss needs to be bloodthirsty, looking for those fights, looking for, early skirmishing around, their CC, I guess. Like, they have a lot of CC, and their jungler, any lane he can walk into and has easy gank set up, which has sort of been, I guess, a linchpin for Abyss. I think that against us, when they played us, they got first blood on mid lane, and that set them up for success. And I think that that's generally how Abyss have looked to play. They play aggressive ganking style, and then you hope that they out pressured through that.
Yeah, certainly do. As we see a 5-man stack, however, we are going to catch up with Sarianne, who's alongside Direwolves coach Sharp.
Thanks, guys. I'm standing here with Sharp, the coach for the Direwolves. Firstly, I wanted to ask you about the Lucian ban. Were you worried about this being a flex pick for Abyss?
Not so much the flex pick. It's more just Luch. Luch is a bit of a Lucian player, seen as his solo queue, and we see it as something that we're not overly confident dealing with, so we just wanted to get that off the table.
And you've picked Nah for chippies in the top lane. Do you think this is a safe champion to blind pick into?
Yeah, Nah is known as quite a safe blind pick. It doesn't have many poor matchups. Can really be played into most team compositions, split push and team fight, so it's just a solid pick all around.
And it's really important that you guys pick up as many points today as you can to clinch that first place position. What advice did you give the team heading into this week?
We're just focusing on playing at our best regardless of the result. Every game is just a learning experience, and obviously we're hoping to take it out as a clean 2-0, and we're hoping all the preparation and all the practice throughout the week will give us the best chance of that.
Well, best of luck in the series, and thanks for talking to us.
All good.
All right, so interesting words coming out of Sharp there. However, we noticed some things in that little bit of an interview. Ward went down onto the starting camp of the Direwolves, so they know exactly where Shern is at the moment. And a couple of Thunderlord mid laners coming out, Jish, which I know you were pointing towards.
Yeah, I actually like the battle summoners, the battle summoner spells and the aggressive mastery choice. I think that, this matchup is kind of volatile. There is gank pressure, as we see Seb coming in for the level 2.
This is very cheesy. All of a sudden, Seb is going to come in. Flag Drake, he actually flashes after it as well. Tried to get the continued knock-up. However, completion meant that was never going to hit Seb. You can flash sideways, you can't flash forward. A little bit unfortunate for the jungler of Abyss Esports.
Yeah, actually, a good early gank path, I think, out of Seb. We're seeing a lot of junglers who are picking up the Jarvan, trying this level 2, and I think that just getting the flash is, a victory in itself. Fantic's playing respectfully, just real early flash out of that, so there's no danger.
But how does this affect the push? Because you said that for Shern to be successful, he needs some pushing lanes on bottom side of the map. Now that Fantix doesn't have that summoner spell, can he still play up in the lane?
I think he can, because he's still going to have, the collapsing side lanes. Both of his top and bottom lane will be pushing in too. I think that, Caitlyn definitely probably pushes the fastest of all bot laners right now, and the Blitzcrank can just hover towards mid. And I think that means that, he has a bit of extra safety. And I think that, that he will play this. Ooh, we're going to see a fight for this. We are. No flash from Seb.
Yeah, and he's already used his flag drag as well, so he gets cocooned up, and all of a sudden, as you said, Destiny will be the first person then. He hooks him up. First blood goes over to Shernfire because Destiny doesn't auto-attack.
And that's exactly what we expect coming out of Shernfire. He is really, really aggressive early, and he wants to get, he wants to get his impact on the map. And by 3 minutes, he's already gotten first blood. Reacting to Seb's early pressure in the mid lane. He punishes, he uses his own flash, but he gets the first blood, and that's really important for Shernfire.
I have a question, a little bit abstract. Should this have been telegraphed that Shern was going to... Oh, no, not going to ask it. A little bit of a hook coming out of Destiny. They will just disengage. Good return damage coming out of Raid. as he went Hunter's Machete, should they have known that he was racing to fights as opposed to, stopping up Raptor camps and things like that? Or is that a bit too ambiguous?
No, actually, that's a good read. I think that Elise, we've seen her go Hunter's Machete when she wants to clear fast and gank, and generally she goes the Talisman when she wants to play a little bit slower, because obviously clearing things like the Raptors, especially after your first clear when you don't have the blue buff, is really hard. So I think that maybe early game there's not too much of a tell, but I would expect he's going to be looking to be very aggressive, especially after his first clear too.
Yeah, and the hook comes out and lands onto Wraith. That's a very good one, but buffers the channel there. Means that he does, however, take a headshot proc from the trap. So nicely done from King and Destiny in this bottom lane.
That shouldn't have hit. I don't reckon that hit.
Well, it certainly did because he flew across the screen, Dish. I'm just going to...
That hitbox, I think, is a little bit broken, but no, very nice play out of Destiny.
And another hook does land, and this time his Ignited has to flash off the trap. And Rosie not able to get enough control over this lane. This is something that we've spoken about Bard in the past. Used to be a lane bully. We took a lot of power away from those memes.
Yeah, and that is why we don't see blind pick Bard all that often. Cupcake has made it look probably safer than it is, just because their duo lane is very potent at the moment. But the Abyss, the Abyss bot lane, probably the weaker of the two, and going against the Caitlyn, a very oppressive early laner. Really good performance out of the Direwolves 2v2, I'd say.
Yeah, certainly is, and with all this pressure around the map, Seb hasn't been able to get back to that mid lane, and this is what you're talking about. These pushing waves are just putting on so much pressure on the jungler for Abyss.
Yeah, and they're already pinging out the ward location, so Schönfire is changing his path, going to head through the lane now. Maybe looking for a gank himself, or just here to defend Fantix.
See whether something does come through. Flick lands from Fantix, however, Luch does go forward. Shern is here, gets a good repel. Slow will be out and burns another summoner, so 2 summoner spells.
Yep, obviously Luch thought he might get away just with the ghost, and then realizes that he's in a little bit more trouble. Flashes out, loses half his health bar in the extended trade, and now Schönfire going back to bottom side river, getting control over that with his bottom lane. Destiny just floating in the brush.
The Direwolves putting on a masterclass of early game pressure, which is why we were very interested in the Chiefs. Now, Destiny looking aggressive again. Shern actually joins him, shows himself on the lane, but just more pressure exuded.
Yeah, and they pull Jarvan down from his Gromp. I think he just finished clearing it, so actually not punished at all, but just dragging him around the map. He's still not safe in his own jungle. Schönfire walking in, getting vision control. Destiny there, backing him up too. But Schönfire, as we sort of said just earlier in the cast, complete control.
Certainly does. All 3 camps awarded. Abyss cannot go anywhere near their own jungle. They have a big collapse, although Shern wants in. Flag drag over the wall from Seb.
Yep, Seb just forced out of his own jungle. Schönfire with the level lead, after taking that camp. I think that, this is kind of what we can expect out of Direwolves. They often will play through their jungle pick, and if they're getting the early aggressive jungler, then they start their draft, as we mentioned, around that, and that's how they're going to play. I think now they've still got a perfect read on him. They know that his red buff, Seb's red buff has just spawned, and he will be going topside to that. Schönfire walking in to check it now.
And you can see that already Chippies was pushing up that wave, as you mentioned. Nah has a push on a lot of people, so Seb has to back away. Level 4 to level 5, not really much of an answer at this stage.
Yeah, I think that this is just a very oppressive game from Direwolves. We're looking at King on the screen right now, just queuing the way. This is going to be shoved in yet again, and it's really hard, I think, for Abyss to make plays, which we said they needed to with these CC setup lanes, if all of their lanes are just shoved in and there's complete information given over to Direwolves.
And something you like to talk to me about a lot is chip damage on turrets and how you can incrementally win a game. Just through, pushing in these waves. And you can see that with all of them on that side of the map, Destiny now chooses this time to get some more vision and maybe a roam here.
Yeah, sneaking towards Luch, but I think, Luch...
Oh, Shern actually gets face checked, and all of a sudden he's going to look to blow up Luch. Really nice. Oh, that's a great hook from Destiny. He's going to pick his team up. Another kill. Will be a 1-for-1 trade as Luch picks up Destiny due to the turret aggro. But that was another God Hand hook.
Yeah, and Luch loses his entire wave, to the turret. So definitely a win for Direwolves, but it doesn't end there.
Certainly doesn't. I mean, Pabu gets thrown against the wall from Chippies, just putting a little bit of pressure down. He already doesn't have TP, so this will be a whole wave loss.
Yeah, and his item build already looking pretty gross. And he's not going to get much of a better bite. Oh, I suppose he picks up the tabbies, saving Grace into the Gnar. A lot of auto attacks coming out of him.
Yep.
But... this is a hard game for Abyss to navigate through the early stages. I don't want to keep harping on it, but the early control coming out of Schönfire, bottom side jungle, transitioning it to top, and his top laner there as well, being aggressive at the same time. It just shows that this is something very rehearsed from the Direwolves.
Certainly looks to be the case. However, Seb off the back end of the recall out of the duo lane is looking towards a dragon. Meanwhile, Destiny hovering mid. This is something he does like to do as a support player.
Yeah, gone out for the, I guess, riskier top side support roam. Obviously pushing yourself a bit further away from your own lane. Didn't pay off for him, and you know, as you mentioned, based on the enemy recall timing, that Abyss could get the dragon there, but you know, I suppose it's a small consolation prize, you know, for how the early game's going. Already 2,000 gold ahead before 10 minutes.
So what's the next step for Direwolves? What do you want to see them do at this stage of the game to really accelerate it?
Yeah, so you know, going back 2 minutes when we discussed chip damage on turrets, I think that's where you need to start seeing, you know, where the pressure is starting to dent the armor of Abyss. And I think that this bottom lane turret, you know, pretty full at the moment, mid lane getting very low, and I would like to see, you know, roams towards that, force them out of the lane, and just like crack open the game with that first turret.
And why is mid lane turret so important to take if you can take it first? Like, what does it give you around the map that you're looking to really achieve?
So getting mid lane turret first is actually very uncommon, and
a little bit of a stun lands there. Seb's going to be hooked up here by Destiny. This might be another kill. Actually gets a flag drag combo and burns a couple of ultimates as well as that ignite. Will live.
But only just, and then as we were saying, you know, now they're looking maybe for the first turret bottom lane, forcing Abyss's bot lane just to back off. King will get this next wave in, engage from Luch onto mid, but probably gets the worst end of that trade, really.
Yeah, it certainly did. I mean, you could see the full combo counter came out of Luch, but no ultimate. Fantix, ulti is on cooldown. Didn't actually see where he used that one, so a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I'm not actually too sure either. I think that was not a bad stun.
Here we go, dive bottom lane now. The Shern is in. Another hook lands, this time onto Rosie, the perfect target, and the teleport is coming in as well. Fantix is already rotated down with all of that priority. Rage, you are not going to live through that, and Direwolves pick up 2 quick kills.
Yeah, and you know, it just looks so easy for them. They just have complete wave control. They shove this wave in. You know, they've got the roam timing down very well, and they just collect themselves what looked to be an incredibly easy first turret.
Yeah, and they commit to pushing through as well. No one is rotating from the Abyss Esports lineup. You can see Pabu without much mana, not going to be able to shove this quickly. Luch already goes back to base, so an uncounterable play really out of the Direwolves lineup.
Yeah, and they're just getting a bit of extra damage on this top turret, but I expect to see the Direwolves bottom lane maybe back up Chippies here and follow through with the top side. You know, Dragon's down. They're probably looking for Rift Herald soon, and Abyss read this too because they're sending the bottom lane top as well.
Yeah, exactly right. So you can see Raid and Rosie head out of bottom lane. They're 0-1 and 0. We're doing okay in terms of CS, but it really was that pushing lane that really was punishing in this whole game. So it is going to be, you know, nearly 4,000-ish gold. It is 4,000 gold, actually. And only 11 minutes in. That's pretty devastating. Yeah,
I was, you know, pretty happy with my team's performance, you know, with what I thought was, you know, a pretty clean, especially game 2. But, you know, this is just a masterclass coming out of Direwolves, really.
Certainly is being able to read the map. You can see now they're streaming towards top lane. Nothing really happening, though, Jish. And Direwolves just seem to have downloaded Abyss's game plan.
Yeah, downloaded their game plan, you reckon? Yeah. Okay. Can someone tell me how to do that? Just so I can download maybe Direwolves game plan for next week or something?
I mean, you're getting a very good first-hand look at what the Direwolves want to do. You're sitting next to one of, you know, the more finer analysts in...
Sitting next to the real Slim Shady. Don't know about fine analysts. I'm sitting next to play-by-play Jake.
Play-by-play Jake. Maybe that's what Spawn can be my colorcaster handle. That Jake could just be my play-by-play handle.
I like it. I'll stick with it.
Yeah, I actually really regret doing that. Magical Journey, however, does catch out King as well as Destiny. They're going to look to pick up a kill here. They do give it over, actually, to Rosie. That's not great. Sherfire comes in. He's pretty squishy with only, you know, Jungle Adam and Sork Boots, but will live.
Yeah, he's a bit of a fan of going through the enemy Bard tunnels, especially in this top lane. We've seen him do it once or twice before. Bard
Magical Journey comes out, actually gets Shern's flash. No, it wasn't.
That was King's flash. Definitely heard flash.
Yeah.
Not a bad response from Abyss. You know, they sent 4 people topside, so they really did have to make that work. They get the turret. Chippies gets a massive wave in bottom, and he farmed himself
Shern gets caught again. This is such a repeat performance out of the jungler of the Direwolves. Seb picks that one up. I think it was with a Sunfire.
Give it to Raid.
I don't think he could choose. I think it was with Sunfire. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Flash out. Make sure Raid gets it. Nah, don't do that. Definitely don't do that.
Then he just
Spooks,
follows
if
you
you
over
heard that,
the
never
wall.
do that. But, you know, picking up the Rift Herald, and, you know, this could mean that they get their own mid turret, so eking out tiny little advantages to come back into this game. Chippy's is going to pick up bot lane inner, you know, which is kind of scary considering it's 13 minutes in the game.
But at least Abyss looking to stem the bleeding. It is only still 4,000 gold. They got themselves some kills as well as that, you know, turret in the bank. Fnatic still pushing in mid lane, and the redeploy out of... Oh, good hook. That's just going to land onto Rosie, and he's going to die again.
Destiny is actually a really good blitzcrank. I can't like think of the last time I've seen him play it in the OPL or anything, but you know, he definitely has practiced this one because his hooks have been on point tonight.
Yeah, a little bit more known for things like... Oh, Pabu gets face checked by Sher. Going to say known for Thresh a little bit more, but similar kits, at least in the aggressive sense there.
Yeah, they both throw the hook out.
Really all they got in common, actually.
Yeah, that was, yeah, kind of.
All right, so maybe not as similar as I had them believed to be. You can see mid lane turret does fall down. Top lane turret now under fire, and this is going to go out to about a 7,000 gold lead. So Dial accelerating the pace of the game.
Yeah, and now it's how they're going to start moving into this mid to late stages of the game, because obviously their team composition excels early in the game, but at least, you know, not known to have the best scaling. Blitzcrank, as we sort of mentioned, has his Q ability, and then not many others.
Yep.
Despite popular opinion, who think he has 4 abilities, he actually only has 1. The later the game goes on. So I'm interested to see, you know, how they're going to start breaking further into the top side, I guess, of Abyss's jungle, maybe to look for those other inners.
Yeah, this is risky out of Abyss, however. You can see they started up Dragon, and 80 carries top lane. So I don't know really how they're expecting to take that one. Shern picks up the leash, and most important Dragon in the game, looking to go over to the Direwolf.
Yep, and you know, Fantic's just zoning Seb out, not giving him the chance to smite that one away to 50-50. Good play out of the mid laner, sitting on 3-0-0 as well, so not having, you know, a shabby game by any standard.
And of course, without an R button, he can't do the Swiffer in this majority of his ultimates this game. See whether he does have a good performance. We've seen people like Ryoma be able to team fight incredibly well on the Taliyah, but haven't really seen all that much of Fnatic. He's more known for his Corki in recent weeks.
Yeah, he has played a lot of Corki, but I've seen him been grinding the hours on Taliyah and solo queue. I think he had like 20 games or something on it, ridiculous. So he has got a lot of practice on it, and you know, and he's showing he's quite comfortable in, you know, not necessarily a counter matchup, but one that can be quite aggressive, especially when he got ganked at level 2 as well.
Yeah, and even though we did kind of hit the mana cost of Taliyah's Q, correct me if I'm wrong, still goes towards no mana regen. So probably just running meditation or something like that. Is that what you do?
Is that this page? This patch?
Oh, is it next one?
Might be next one.
Ooh, just, you know, too soon.
Actually, yeah, I think it's next one when they at 7-16 when they nerf literally every mid lane champion.
Yep.
Except buff Fizz for some reason. But
Don't like Fizz?
no, I love Fizz. I don't think competitively, I don't know how viable he is. But he's definitely a fun champion to watch.
Better or worse than Akali competitively?
Better. Kali sucks.
Agree to disagree. However, we see a little bit of a catch out on the top side of the map as Pabu does find Chippy's good ultimate back. However, Pabu has taken a little bit of damage, so needs to be careful. Rosie goes through his own magical journey, trying to get the rest of the team involved. You can see that knocks Chippy's out of the second one. Will get ulted up as he'd already flashed, and this should just be a clean-up kill for Luch, although knowing Rosie, he might try and steal it. Nah, he doesn't. He leaves it for his mid laner. Luch picks up a kill.
Yeah, Rosie's not getting close to the rapid fire cannon, but we see Direwolf charging down the mid lane, so they're trading very well around this. They will take this turret. And you'd have to say, 1 turret for a kill, not a terrible trade.
Certainly isn't. That was going to time out. The screen was flashing purple, so he drops the Rift Herald. See if they can get anything in response.
Can't imagine they do get anything. We said this was possibly a turret in the bank.
Yeah.
Doesn't appear to be.
Instead, it's just a free minion wave for Seb that should have gone to Luke.
I was going to say, I don't think it's even going to hit the turret. It's just going to be a quick donation of 25 gold to King.
So now, when we have a look at where the dust has all fallen, 7,000 gold on the board for Direwolf. Even though the kills are 5-4, this game has been a pretty one-sided affair, Juice.
Yeah, this game has not been around kills, and it was early, you know, with those aggressive hooks coming out of Destiny in the bot side jungle, but now it's definitely turned into a macro game where they're just looking to, you know, out-rotate their opponent, put simply.
All right, and I want to ask you something. You know, Caitlyn got the Phantom Dancer taken off her. In response, we saw that your 80 carry Raze today played a room page with all attack speed and no AD. Is that something that, you know, counteracts these AS nerfs that are coming through onto the AD carries at the moment?
Yeah, so I don't know what room page King is running, but Raze and I had a discussion. We were just talking about how much extra you can run in terms of attack speed. And I think I was just like, oh, I just run it on blues. Like, you know, who needs magic resist or something? You're probably versing Alistair and Braum. And he was like, well, why can't I just run it on reds? I've seen like the LPL AD carries do it.
Yep.
So I think his actually current page is that he runs, I think he runs it on reds, but he's taking CDR or something on his blues now. So I think that, yeah, runes in terms of AD carries, I think, obviously, if you get good at the game, you can last it without AD.
All right, cool. Question coming in here from @NailDive. What kind of video info do coaches have to analyze games? Do you get the spectator footage we watch, or do you get each player can as well? I guess we'll throw audio in there as well, because I know that you're interested in that, Josh. What do you get?
Yeah, so we, in the OPL, I don't think we get the replay file. I knew we got that in LCS, which I never actually used, so, you know, not a huge point. But we get the comms.
Magical Journey comes through. We'll pause that for a second. Fantics gets stoned up against the Cataclysm. Raid jumps in. They have to pick up this kill because they've invested so much, and the explosive potential will grab it. So that's a shutdown. Top and bottom waves being pushed in response. See where Abyss go from here, but keep going on the replay file.
Well, yeah, just considering this fight is not all but over, you know, Rosie could come in with a Tempered Fate. I want to see a bit more action.
Doesn't actually land it, however, and now Shern gets a big explosive fighter and lands a little bit of a stun onto Seb. So people successfully disengaging for now.
But actually an interesting play out of Direwolves. You know, you see a lot of the weaker teams, I'd say, in any given region, when their mid laner dies and you see, you know, 3 people sitting in the mid lane, they're all looking to react to that defensively, and they'll rotate out of that top lane instead.
Yep.
Direwolves, you know, keep their cool. They say that, well, we can trade an outer for your top inner. And they, you know,
another hook. Great hook. He's on top of a ward. You shouldn't recall if you haven't swept the brush. And Destiny makes him pay. He nabs his first kill of the game, but he probably deserves
that. He so deserves that one. But yeah, going back to the coaching question, I'll try not to waste too much time on it. We get the, we get the comms of our own team, so we can sync that up with, you know, the VOD that you're watching right now, and that we'll obviously mute the casters to hear ourselves talk about it. And then we just, you know, rewatch the same video that you can see on the OPL broadcast.
And what are you looking for? Are you looking for, you know, mini-map? Are you looking at, you know, what's actually happening on the screen?
Yeah, I think when I watch League of Legends games...
Little catch coming onto Parbu. Let's pause that one for a second. Destiny actually misses his first hook of the game, it feels like, as well as the fact that that cocoon flew a little bit wide.
Yeah, disappointed in you, Destiny. I've had you back all cast. Been telling everyone that you're a good blitzcrank, and then you miss an absolute sitter. But not a bad dodge out of Parbu, you know, especially to get the second skill shot too. Redeem yourself now and land something.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to aggress onto him, but it does not work out. Now all of a sudden Parbu is in some big trouble. Set ults the backline, but his carries are already flying out of the fight. Good ult comes out, however, that is a fantastic hook. Destiny nails Luch. They're flashing over the wall. All of a sudden, Parbu, you are in big trouble. The wall comes out of Fantics, and they are corralling the Abyss lineup away from their base. Another kill will go over to Chippies. That's a 2 for none.
Yep, and you may be expecting to see Direwolves head towards the Baron now, if not just looking for further objectives. And that was a fantastic hook out of Destiny. He did redeem himself. You know, Luch looked for a trade kill on Shernfire, but as we said, you know, 20-minute at least. Not that important of a champion. I guess the Infernal Dragon being preferred over Baron, no jungler. Don't want to have the risk of a smite steal from Seb, but very good fight out of Direwolves. You know, obviously getting TP flanked on, as we'll see it again. Destiny just slows Parbu down. They have a fight on 2 fronts here with Fantics doing, you know, huge amounts of damage, making Seb flash out. Luch does get the trade kill, but also gets slapped by the cheeky Blitzcrank hook. And now the chase is on. Talia wall comes in and they're forced to jump over. They force the EQ from Seb, but Parvu's dead now and there's just complete control over the Direwolves.
Yeah, a rout of a team fight and a 9,000 gold lead is going to come out with the Direwolves. Closer to 8 maybe. They're having a look for another pick here. You need to be careful, Destiny.
Yeah, he sees them.
Yeah, actually goes in for a team fight instead. Rosie very low. King actually falling down to the ignite, but will not die. A hook back for Seb. He's going to fall down. Ultimate will come out. King gets the execute. Direwolves pick up 2 more kills, and Shern isn't done. He flashes forward onto Luch, who has to burn his flash in response. Destiny's over the wall. He will get ulted up and eventually fall down, but Chippies is looking for the mid laner. It'll be, in fact, Shern that picks that one up, and Parbu is now all alone with no friends, and that will most likely be the Baron for the Direwolves.
Yep, and you know, King on the backside of that as well, just shoving in the wave 2, so they can do anything at this point. If they want to go for the turrets, that's still an option, you know, sitting on kind of low health bars outside of... Actually, you know what? They're all pretty high except Shenfire. As long as he doesn't tank it, this Baron looks pretty free. Chippy's using his ult just for a bit of extra damage. You know, King queuing through, this Baron's going down very quick for a 3-man Baron, but to be expected with a 10,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and only 24 minutes in, it's 11,000 gold, it's the Baron buff, it's double Infernal Dragons, and everything is looking up for the Direwolves.
Yeah, this has just been such a nice performance out of Direwolves. You know, echoing the words of Carbon on the desk, they really do look like the noob slayers at the moment. As inoffensively as possible. Obviously, Abyss sitting at the bottom of the ladder. This is just, yeah, a very clean game from Direwolves. And I feel as though they're not really showing anything that they haven't been known to do before. They very much love to play around. They're pushing lanes and jungle aggression. And, you know, we see Destiny coming in for another fantastic hook. I'm closing my eyes. He's going to hit something.
Nah, he certainly does not. He absolutely whiffs it. He blind hooked into the bush. Does it even really count if it's blind? They know you're in there, boys,
well,
because
he
there's a
definitely
ward
didn't hit
just out of it.
Because nothing flew out and found him.
Wasn't a surprise grab, but you can see they do manage to land the snare onto Seth. He'll just back away.
Yeah, not the brightest idea to chase into that blind jungle. Luch just sitting there spamming Q on the ground to get to get a bigger ultimate off. Shenfire does not disrespect Abyss, and he sits outside of engage range.
Do you miss the days where Syndra could pick up 3 balls?
As a person who had to play against that, no, I hate that. That was really frustrating. As the rare Syndra player in me sometimes comes out, I loved that. But no, I think it was probably a good change that we got rid of that one. A little bit strong.
Certainly was after the mid-season Magic review. However, Direwolves now heading into the top lane. Wall comes out and they will look to lock down another turret. Pretty safe play out of the Direwolves for that one.
Yeah, you know, obviously they have a massive gold lead, but as Sharp mentioned in his interview,
Seb gets caught out and takes half his health in damage from one Fantix Q.
yeah, that was painful to watch.
And Flash Body Slam comes in. King does get stunned up and will look to fall down. Great pick coming out, but Raid, you're in the middle of the team. Awesome Tempered Fate, honestly, from Rosie. Actually saves that little bit of engage, but Chippies is in the base, and the rest of the Abyss lineup must flee. Turret will fall down, and even though Abyss Esports get the pick, it looks like they won't win the war.
Yeah, this is, you know, just a do-or-die fight for Abyss. You know, they can't give up these inhibitors for free, and they do trade the kill onto King.
And Seb's still looking for it, Jish. He wants to continue running forward, but Chippy's persistently slowing. He has not got the flash available, but teleport coming out of Pabu. They're looking for Chippies without the flag bounce. He's out. He's going to flash away. Keep going for this one. Hook does land onto Seb. He's a tanky member, but he does fall down very, very quickly. Stun lands onto Shern. He will fall down, and Raid has jumped on Chippy's head. Great Nah actually interrupts the jump, however. A double kill picked up for Chippies, and now Fantis is back into the team fight. Flash Body Slam will go onto the mid laner, but he's already picked up Rosie. It is Pabu and Luch versus the world. The ultimate comes down, but it's onto the support member. Don't know whether that's worthwhile. Fantis picks up the double kill. Good stun out of Luch, but he will ultimately fall down. Fantix lives, Chippies picks up the kill.
Just such a good fight coming out of Direwolves. You know, probably overstaying their welcome a little bit, getting chased all the way through their enemy jungle. Then Pabu TP's in. You know, EQ from the full health Jarvan, ults on top of Chippies. Isn't enough to win the fight. You know, very good for Direwolves to keep their cool, keep fighting it out, you know, kiting as long as they possibly could. Small mention to Chippies. Shutting down Raid just as he was starting to get those resets was monumental for the success of that fight.
Yeah, watch this replay. He gnaws him out of his hop as Seb engages.
Yeah, no, just like a good hook from Destiny starts this one up, and then Syndra lands a good stun, and Shenfire is just deleted. Here, I'm expecting, such a good Nara ultimate, but I'm expecting that, you know, Raid starts controlling the fight there, and that he'll start getting the resets and doing what Tristana in the later stage of the game does. But, you know, to no avail, and then we see Luch does his best 1v3 or 1v2 now, but he's like just that far behind that it doesn't matter he's versing 2 10% HP bar like solo laners. He can't come up trumps there.
Yeah, actually altered up Destiny. You think that's the right call?
I think probably not in hindsight. I don't know if he thought the fight was going to be that close and if he was just going to ult someone and get out. Could have just been a misclick. Maybe he tried to get Fantix, but yeah, obviously not the best target to be deleting with your R button.
Certainly isn't, so they'll use the wall again. This time Seb is the focus. He'll have to flag and drag away. Shern took some damage there, and a Tempered Fate actually nails all 3 members. Here we go. Big ultimate back onto 2 of the members. However, King is just too strong. Seb will fall down. Chippies is stunned up. GA still isn't popular, however, he will hop away. Destiny grabs Ray, and that is another brilliant hook. Now Luch is the focus. He has to flash away, and the disengage will be here. Pabu misses the body slam. Luch nearly falls down for it, and the Direwolves march into the base.
And Chippies is TPing back in now. You know, they're looking for the end on this. This has been a very good performance out of the Direwolves, and, you know, Abyss didn't roll over. They did put up a bit of a fight here, but it was just not enough to stop the Direwolves.
So the Direwolves going for the pick of the glitter. That's another one onto Luch. He just gets hooked out of Fountain. You're not even safe there, buddy. And now Rosie is being chased down. Chippies is absolutely massive, and the Direwolves are on the Nexus turret. One has already fallen down. They'll look to make that too. They don't have any creeps, so they still have to be careful with this. The respawn of Seb may be enough. 9 seconds still on raid, and we'll see whether the 2 tanks can defend. Seb throws out the flag, doesn't get the drag, and King is absolutely tearing them apart. Another hook, this time onto Pabu, will secure the victory, and Direwolves will go up 1-0.
And, like, just, again, what a good performance out of Direwolves. I'd like to mention that I just watched King crit someone like 6 times in a row as Ray jumps back into his own base. That's not a fun thing to play against. The Caitlyn just spamming crits on your face, but, yeah, Direwolves looked very composed in this first game. You know, obviously, they said in the interview that they were looking at this as a learning experience. It doesn't matter if it's in their favor. You know, they're going to take this game seriously, and I think you can say that that's what they did. You know, we were even looking at how they took that top lane turret. They're using the Talia ultimate and just playing it, you know, like clinically, I guess. They're pulling out all the stops, making sure that they're not misstepping or, you know, disrespecting their opponents, and it just looked like a very, very good game.
From start to finish, as you said, through pushing lanes, through jungle pressure, Direwolves were able to control that one. Now Abyss have to have the reset. They have blue side. If they want to leave an S-tier jungler up and available, potentially Seb can get onto it as opposed to the Jarvan, because apart from that level 2 game, didn't really have much of an impact here.
Yeah, I think, and it's not even that much of a criticism on Seb. I think that it is definitely a testament to how well Schernfire played. Obviously, had a lot of help from his laners, and, you know, that's how a good jungle should interact with his laners, relying on your godlike Blitzcrank to throw Q after Q after Q and hit them all. But yeah, no, actually, I think, you know, Seb, maybe he tries to get the Elise himself. Otherwise, if they get rid of it and try to take a more standard, you know, jungle matchup, I guess we'll see what the desk thinks on that one.
Yeah, certainly will, of course, going to be throwing it back to the desk quite shortly. They have the 2 junglers there, so they might have some thoughts on it. But Destiny really was the man to watch in that game.
Yeah, I think I was like joking that that champion has one ability, but he made it look like that's the only thing he needed. Like, he just landed all those impressive hooks. Not even just for the picks, but like the ones in team fights are the things that I think is really impressive. You know, when you can just like somehow like bend your hook through like 4 like frontliners and then hit the Syndra and, you know, win the team fight based off that, it's very impressive.
A super performance coming out of Direwolves for 4-player means they do pick up the game 1 victory. However, let's throw it back to Hingers and the junglers to see what they thought about the game.
Thank you, Spawn. And just there, talking about the weird, like, Kennedy assassination Blitzcrank hook.
Yeah,
you know, we've
that
all
was
had
that
been
movie?
the bullets.
Today I learned that
Kill the bullet.
Blitzcrank hooks are not linear. They are not linear.
It's like a sine wave. All right, Direwolves, too strong for Abyss in that first game, and never really looked in doubt.
No. I will just touch on what you said at the end there about the junglers, about how well Shern played. I agree. I did think he played very well. But he also said that he didn't think he could really put much on Seb, and I heavily disagree. I think Seb played pretty poorly that game. I think he had a really good opportunity. I like the creativity in the pathing, but extremely poor execution.
Carbon did say to me, quote unquote, "This was the worst 3 minutes I've seen from a jungler all week."
That's not fair. You're not allowed to do that.
Can't.
You're not allowed to go. You're not allowed to take backstage banter and just bring it because
It's out of context. It's out of context now.
I've got a. I'm turning my phone on. I'm recording next because that is some. I'm very okay. Anyway, I will stand by that statement. Then I do think it was a very, very poor 3 minutes. He ganked mid first, so he ganked mid first, and with the red level 2, which is very good from Jarvan, but he played it about as bad as I think you could have. And that led into this, which is him trying to contest this crab. He has no flash from wasting it at level 2, and Shern basically just chases him down with auto attacks. He burns his own flash early because he knows Seb can't escape. And from that point on, Shern had complete control of the jungle.
Just so I didn't throw Tim under the bus, I agree.
What do you
I
mean?
agree.
You already threw me under the bus.
I'm under the
You
bus
can't
to
just
strip it
like, what happened to Shelly? Well, I threw her under the bus, but I didn't want to. Well, she's dead now, Juice.
It's like you're lying down on the road with Carbon after the bus is like in the next suburb, mate.
Yeah.
Like the
I'm,
bus is
I'm dead on the ground, and then he just like walks over and lays next to me like, look, guys, it's fine. I'm
Solidarity,
down
solidarity.
here
But
too.
just to touch on that, like, there was no reason for Seb to get caught in the river there
Animal.
because they knew where Elise started. They actually warded for it. And so when you
Well-
know that you have no flash, you know where Elise started, you don't just burn your EQ, your
Yeah.
gap closer to do a scuttle crab.
And I think that's probably the reason he was doing Scuttle, right? Is because
Yeah.
he knew Elise was going to go through there, and he thought, okay, like, I've burned my gank, I've burnt my tempo, my gank opportunity on mid. If I can get this crab, maybe I can protect my bot lane, because Blitzcrank, obviously very scary. I thought Destiny had a really good performance.
Mate,
Non-linear
love seeing the
hooks.
Yeah, yeah, look. I
your heart
think
out,
that was
Tiger.
a very, very poor opening from him, and Shern just choked him out so well after that.
I mean, I feel like Direwolves just kind of had control of the entire game, Jews. But were there points where Abyss were trying to get back into it and stuff?
Yeah, I felt like Abyss felt pressure to make like plays in this game.
Yeah.
And there was one play in particular around mid lane where they didn't even have 5 members. They really just thought like, okay, like we're down a lot of gold. Tristana's bot, let's just force. And Direwolves, like when you're ahead, this is the beauty about being ahead and having pressure in all your lanes. It's like once you shut a side lane, you can just go mid, create Baron pressure, and that's exactly what we saw. I think this play here in particular led to like the game just like the nail in the coffin. Like sure, you're already down like 8, 7, 10k, whatever you want to call it. But then it just led into the Baron and then pretty much just opening the base.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to harp on Seb too much, but he had ult, and he didn't use it, and King
Could've
would have
traded one
died
for
if
one.
he had used it, and so, you know, maybe that goes a little bit different, but yeah, like you said, they were already 10k down, and they're trying to be creative. Rosie, who was on TM last split, TM were well known for doing all sorts of crazy bush ganks.
I liked the I like the 5-man top Bard gank. That was sick.
yeah.
Shern nearly fell.
Yeah, he almost
fell-
killed himself again,
fell
taking
to
the tunnel.
portal
Yeah,
tunnel.
he loves the
It's like
tunnel.
Shern-
Bard
He
tunnel.
loves the tunnel.
When I versed Direwolves, if I versed them in Gauntlet, we're just going to practice
Just play
Bard, just play
Bard.
Bard. Put portal, max portal, just
Max
put portals
portal
everywhere.
everywhere.
And Shern's going to be like,
Can't not click
like a moth to the
active.
flame. But nah, look, that was creative, and Abyss had to be creative, right? They fell so far behind early. I think Shern played so well in the early, especially.
Absolutely.
I think Destiny, we talked about their bot lane as well,
Yeah.
you know, just trying to stamp their authority, and I think they definitely did that here. Thought they had a great lane phase in the bot lane, constantly got chip damage, a lot of pressure, went top, did the same thing, so.
once again, padded NAS statistics.
Yeah, I was just throwing the boomerang at Gragas for 25 minutes or however long this game lasted.
What do you guys think of the Caitlyn pick? Obviously, we've seen King putting a lot of priority on it in the last couple of weeks, picking it up a couple of times.
Yeah.
And Caitlyn's gone through a couple of rounds of nerfs. Oh, she's gone through one round of nerfs, about to go through a second round of nerfs.
2 nerfs already, I think.
Yeah,
she
2
has.
rounds.
So
So
I
about
think-
to go
yeah.
third round of nerfs.
Well, I think the way that Direwolves played Caitlyn this lane was like,
Well, that's how you
Yeah,
want
how you wanna play
That's how,
Caitlyn.
when you think,
Yeah.
like, when you're in the draft phase and you're like, oh, what should we pick? Should we play Kate? Like, that is why, like, that's what you want when you pick it.
priority in lane, Blitzcrank just roam, ruin the enemy jungler, and game over.
Constant chip damage, you get that early tower, you start rotating your bot lane around the map to take all the other objectives. So I think, yeah, Caitlyn's sort of their bread and butter. They play a lot of Caitlyn.
Yeah.
They obviously love it and worked really well for them there.
Yeah, we'll see if they continue to play it after the next patch when those pretty serious nerfs comes through. I also want to talk, we already spoke about Shern's great game and how he stacked up next to Seb in this particular game. I want you guys to take a look at these stats. 5, 3, and 10 there from Shern, so a lot of movement around. Obviously getting involved in a lot of fights there, Cup.
Yeah, I think by the end of the game he had died a couple times to Syndra ults and stuff, but I don't think that score really justifies how well he played. Like he, I think early game he was like 1-0-5 or something. He really put a ton of pressure on early with Elise, which is
You're
exactly
saying
what you
5, 3,
want to
10,
do.
you're like, oh, it's not perfect. I'm like, man, I would kill those stats. That'd be sick. I'm just getting dumpstered every game in my games.
Well, I mean, you started playing League like 4 months ago, so it's a little bit different. But like having the three deaths in a game where you just completely obliterated the opponent.
Yeah.
You don't want that. You know, if that
That's
was
the-
5-0-10, it's like immaculate. But
That's the beauty of full AP at least, though. You just like one
Yeah.
misstep, you just get one shot.
yes,
But
that
like
is true.
you just like the reason you pick Elise was like the exact the exact way that Shern played the game. Like, you just need to have kill participation.
It was very, it was just like a very
Very
textbook,
active.
very textbook game.
Yeah.
Like they had an release, they got ahead early and ganked a lot. They had a blitzcrank who created picks through his hook. They had a Caitlyn who was constantly at the enemy tower getting chip damage. They had a Na who was creating split push pressure in the side lane. They had a Talia. Actually, she didn't roam that much.
No.
But like every other champion in the game did its job basically to its fullest.
And that's it. And then they
And
won the game.
that's how you win, basically.
Just, have the champions. Have the
Have the
champions.
champions do what they're supposed to
their
do.
jobs.
Don't die. Win the game.
And yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty
Like,
much
there's
it.
like- there's-
League,
Very
really.
simple.
It's a very simple game when you think about it.
If you're an amateur and you're listening, we've just shared the
Unlocked
secret
it.
with you
Unlocked
with
it
you
for them.
all.
So you in rank 1.
Up, down,
So you
down,
in
left,
rank
left,
one.
right.
Yep. Let's
AB.
let's talk bot lane now as well, because I know we talked about it going into this game. King and Destiny looking to stamp their mark as one of the best bot lanes, or maybe it's the top bot lane in OS right now.
I
And
think-
this is a pretty good
I think the
performance
real
from them.
travesty about this is that Destiny's score. He doesn't deserve the 4 deaths. I think he was insane. He just created pressure everywhere he went.
He did
hit a
die
lot
at
of
a
hooks.
tower.
I mean,
was
but
juggling aggro.
That flash in between the 2 mid towers to kill Syndra, where he got one shot, that like pretty much won them like the game. Or
He
not-
missed like 3 waves.
yeah, Syndra missed like 3 waves in a matchup which he needs to be bullying Talia. He lost like 3 waves. They lost like 2/3 of the tower's health. So like, yeah, the roams from Destiny were insane.
Over
And it-
10 CS per minute from King as well.
And I
So-
think like this is kind of the game where like if you're picking Bard, you're losing priority in lane, you're not making plays, don't pick Bard. I would
You're a
say.
fan
Oh,
of
I
Bard?
think. Well, I think.
not a fan
I'm
of
not a
Bard.
fan of
Oh,
Bard.
sorry, Legacy are a
I-
fan of Bard, I should
Yes,
say.
Legacy are a fan of Bard. Me personally, I
Yes.
hate Bard. I think he's a useless champion. But
He's invading me. Why can't you stop him?
no, but it's more like what I want to say about this is that Bard into Blitzcrank, like Bard should win. Like just the nature of range versus melee. But Seb dying early, Shern just having complete bot side
Yeah.
control means it's so difficult for
They did
Bard
get
to
Dove.
really do anything. Yeah, they got Dove. It was so difficult for him to do anything,
yeah,
regardless
maybe-
of what
maybe
he
I was
picked. Like,
being
he
a
could have
bit
been
harsh.
playing, could be playing Braum, like best support in the game. Could be playing Thresh.
Hey,
Same thing
I'm
would
not,
happen.
I'm not playing the game. I'm allowed to be an analyst. I'm allowed to be like, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad.
That's what's the point of coming on if
Yeah.
you can't do
I'm
that?
joking.
So let's talk about moving into game 2 then for Abyss. Do you want to see anything different out of their draft? Maybe switch the Bard out for, I don't know, for Alistair or something? I don't know.
Nah.
It seems to me that Shern has popped off the last few weeks on release.
Mm.
I would try getting him off the lease,
Yep.
put him on a tank where he can't really just bully you straight out of your jungle. Not even a tank, just put him on something else. Like
Get
I don't
on
know, you
Zac
don't know
maybe.
what he's going to play, right? He's got a
Yeah.
big champion pool. You can't just ban him out. So I think that it may be worth just like banning the Elise so he can't actually abuse you 1v1, and then just see how you go from there. I think.
Yeah, just a curious Abyss band, Jace and Cassidon in the opening red side bans, which is kind of weird because red side usually gets like the 2 counter picks. You get last pick in the first 3, you get the last pick,
Yeah.
and then in the second one you also get the last pick.
I don't think Luch has a champion that just counters Cassidon outright though.
Or Jace. I mean, Jace, I guess, is a flex to top, but it just seems a bit overkill.
Yeah.
Like Luch is a good player, right? They shouldn't. I don't think that
They need to target ban.
they should. No, I don't think that Direwolves would be able to get away with just blind pissing Cassidon. I mean, they did ban the Lucian, and maybe
He
that's
does
what
play
scared
Cassio.
them out of it.
He could play Cassio.
Yeah. So I think interesting that they didn't ban the Elise because
Cassio was still up as
very
well.
high priority champ.
Cassio didn't get banned, so Cassio went through the whole draft.
No, but Luch is a good Syndra as well, and like
Yeah, but
I don't think they do.
Syndra's going to lose to Cassidon.
Well, yeah, but they would have changed their picks if they picked Cassidon,
Yeah, of
right? But they
course.
picked Leah, so
I'm just saying
You
that
can't. No, but you can't speculate.
You can't just put in Cassidon and then say they're not going to change. Yeah, sorry. Look, I'm
getting
Anyway.
roasted.
So do you think they're going to change much then? Let's get. I didn't get an answer out of you.
I think that
Or
on
should
blue
they
side,
change?
on blue
Yeah.
side, they get first pick. So maybe Direwolves will ban Elise. Seb is a decent Elise player. He has picked it in the past. I think that they won't have counter picks really. So we'll have to see what blind picks they have in the solo lanes.
Yeah.
If Shern, like, I think the way Direwolves plays Shern, like, obviously wants to abuse the jungler. Like, that's how he's
Yeah.
played in carry meta. So, like, if Shern really wants to abuse Seb, I think they have to get rid of Elise. If Seb picks Elise and can make stuff happen, he can't be abused. You're healthy after first clear. You
Yeah.
can look for the enemy jungler. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how the pick ban goes.
As we're waiting for the players to get into, get ready for our second game.
Yep.
Aside from Bard, what other champions? What's your most hated champion?
Mine
Yeah.
in competitive or just like
Just
in general?
well, like, let's say in competitive.
In competitive, I can't say actually, because then Tim will pick it
Oh,
next
I
week.
see. I see.
Nah,
I
nah.
see.
I don't. Singed?
Singed? Not
It's
a
really
fan?
annoying. It's just
Yeah.
annoying. Like
Yeah, it's just like
I've
annoying
seen
to
it. I've
play
had it, like
against.
when it was good into Maokai, it was just annoying. Like
He's good. He's annoying to have on your team
Yeah.
because he's just
Doesn't do
proxying
anything.
and dying.
Yeah, and then your
he's
top-
annoying to play against as well because he's like, oh, I got to go kill this
yeah,
bloody
and then
Singed
your
again.
top laner's just when your top laner's playing Singed, it's like yeah,
Too
I'm
much
alright.
movement
Just
speed.
leave me for a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
well we're losing the game. Like just need a bit of help. Like
No, I
Yeah.
refuse to come to team fights.
I hate supports.
All supports.
Not all, but most. I hate Zyra because she always kills me at golems. I hate Bard because he's useless.
No.
I hated MF when MF was meta because people always pick MF in solo queue and just die 40 times
Shout
and
out-
do nothing.
Shout out
Like,
Ejim. Shout out
there are
Ejim.
so many supports that I just hate playing
That was
against.
a
and
weird
with.
time in League of Legends history when MF was a counter to Zyra, but then people just started picking it as not a counter pick to
Willy-nilly?
Zyra. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
was
thought
annoying.
about it. I hate playing with Fiora.
with Fiora.
Yes, because it's just like, can we win the game yet? Nah, I need two items. Two items.
Is your top lane
Can we win the
Fiora
game yet?
1,000
You're
Fiora
still in
games?
a 45-minute
I've got
game.
2 items now. Can we win yet? No, I need 3 now. Yeah. Like, all right. Yeah, can we win the game yet? 6 items later. Good boys, we've won the game. Yeah, well done.
I carried.
Yeah.
I carried. I did it. Mum, get the camera.
Mind you, the Fiora is 0-3-0. Yeah.
Sold his boots for another Phantom Dancer. Mum, look. I 1v1 the Maokai. I did it.
It is time for us to get into our second game in this match. Direwolves taking on Abyss. So let's check out some highlights from game number 1.
Will be the first person then. He hooks him up. First blood goes over to Shernfire because Destiny doesn't auto attack. Here we go. Dive
Even
bottom
better
right now, but
stuff.
Shern is in. Another hook lands, this time onto Rosie. The perfect target. And the teleport is coming in as well. Fantix is already rotated down with all of that priority. Rage, you are not going to live through that. Direwolves pick up 2 quick kills. Then for a team fight instead, Rosie very low. King actually falling down to the ignite, but will not die. The hook back for Sev. He's going to fall down. Ultimate will come out. King gets the execute. Direwolves pick up 2 more kills, and Shern isn't done. He flashes forward onto Luke, who has to burn his flash in response. Destiny's over the wall. He will get ulted up and eventually fall down, but Chippies is looking for the mid laner. It'll be, in fact, Shern that picks that one up, and Pabu is now all alone with no friends. And Raid has jumped on Chippy's head. Raid, actually interrupts the jump, however. A double kill picked up for Chippies, and now Fantasy is back into the team fight. Flash body slam will go onto the mid laner, but he's already picked up Rosie. It is Pabu and Luch versus the world. The ultimate comes down, but it's onto the support member. Don't know whether that's worthwhile. Fantasy picks up the double kill. Good stun out of Luch, but he will ultimately fall down. Fantix lives. Chippies picks up the kill. Here we go. Big ultimate back onto 2 of the members. However, King is just too strong. Seb will fall down. Chippies is stunned up. GA still isn't popular, however, he will hop away. Destiny grabs Raid, and that is another brilliant hook. Now Luch is the focus. He has to flash away. Another hook, this time onto Pabu, will secure the victory, and Direwolves will go up 1-0.